Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. As you guys know who have watched me for the last couple of weeks, I have been doing things a little bit differently. I have a CKM, a continuous ketone monitor on right now. I'm coming up to the end of it, and I've been trying to really make the most of all of that data. So I've just been kind of doing experiments all the way through the 2 weeks of the CKM and just posting as I go. So my first challenge with the CKM was the sardine fast. I did that, then took 2 days off. Then I did the egg fast for 3 days, did that with Lindsay, which was really fun. And then I took 3 days off after that. And now today I am starting on my third and final challenge with the CKM data. Sadly, my CGM, my continuous glucose monitor, ended yesterday. So for this last challenge, I don't have the glucose data to share, but I will still have the ketone data to share. Now to talk a little bit about fat fasts and where they originated and what is all involved in a fat fast. So as far as I know, the first person to coin the term fat fast and to come up with the original rules is Dr. Atkins. It is a technique that he included in his Dr. Atkins' New Diet Revolution. I know it's in there. It may have been in his original Diet Revolution book as well, but he actually based his fat fast on another diet called the Ketones diet. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it was developed in the 50s. It was a 90% fat diet where you eat only 1,000 calories a day. And it was like something like 4% protein and 6% carbohydrates. Is just super, super strict. So basically what Dr. Atkins did is he saw the value in using that for like breaking stalls or for people that were very metabolically damaged and couldn't get results, couldn't lose weight in, the traditional low carb diet. So Dr. Atkins took that original Ketones diet and he made it a little bit more palatable and a little bit more flexible. He says you can have between 75 and 90% fat in your fat fast, and he doesn't require you to stay to a certain percentage of protein, a certain percentage of carbs. What he recommends is 5 meals per day. He said people found it was easier to stick with if they got the 5 smaller meals per day rather than just the calories broken up into 3 meals. So each of the 5 meals has about 200 calories, and it should have 75 to 90% of those calories coming from fat. So it's more like just like little snacks throughout the day, little fat snacks throughout the day, rather than any kind of like a real meal. The recommendation for using it to break stalls and things like that is to do like 3 days of a fat fast and then up to 5 days. I think he said don't do beyond 5 days. And I definitely would not do beyond 5 days or beyond 3 days even. And for this challenge that I'm doing, I am going to be doing an every other day challenge. I'm going to do a fat fast today. I'm going to try to stick as close to the rules, like the original rules as I can. I'm trying to do the 200 calorie meals, every 3 to 4 hours during the day. And then tomorrow I'm going to do a regular day, although I am going to prioritize protein and I'm going to deprioritize fat. So I'm going to try to really cycle my fat and protein. So I'm having a fat fast that is full of fat and very, very low on the protein. And then the next day, I'm going to try to do higher protein and then dial back the fat a little bit. Not so far that it's like a PSMF day, just not emphasizing the fat quite so much. And that just, will throw things at my body and my metabolism. And sometimes that's really good for just keeping your body guessing. I'm going to attempt to do 4 days. So fat fast, higher protein regular day, fat fast, higher protein regular day. If I do the fat fast throughout today and feel like it was just torture and I can't bear the thought of moving forward and doing another fat fast day, I may switch to doing just an 80-20 macros day and not really restrict the calories down to that 1,000 calories of the fat fast. But I'm just going to play it by ear and kind of see how I feel. In Dr. Atkins' book, he also talks about modifying the fat fast, and he said another option you can try is to do 1,200 calories and do 4 300 calorie meals in the day rather than the 5 200 calorie meals. So there's different ways to mix it up. And he just says, if you're struggling with a stall, pushing your fat percentage up a little bit higher can sometimes help break that stall. And I do totally agree with that. I think that it's a great way to like get your body into ketosis, and that can help kind of kickstart your fat burning. I definitely have felt that as I've pushed my body to get into ketosis a little bit deeper, it seemed to have like a priming effect. And Dr. Boz talks about this, where she says ketones beget ketones. And I wasn't sure about that before. I was like, is that really true? But my experience has kind of lined up with that thinking. And I found that as I've pushed myself to be in a little bit deeper of a state of ketosis, things that I do to increase ketones have an amplified effect, if that makes sense. So for example, I found that my ketones always jump in the morning while I'm sitting down drinking my coffee. And if like I'm not in a very deep level of ketosis, like I'm around 0.5, 0.6, I will still see a jump, like maybe up to 0.7, 0.8. But I found that when I was doing different challenges and my ketones were up, around 1.1, I would see them jump even higher. I'd get like a 0.5 or 0.6 rise in my ketones rather than just like a 0.1 or 0.2 rise. I also found that if I put the work in to get my ketones up a little higher, I could go back to my regular higher protein diet and I could maintain a little bit higher ketones than I was getting eating the exact same diet before I put that work in to get the ketones up. So if you guys have watched me for a while, you know that I really, really, really value protein. I value protein in my diet so much, and I've talked about it a lot over the last couple of years. Increasing my protein has been a huge game changer in my overall diet and like how I feel, my satiation level, helping me not struggle with, the desire to overeat, all of these things. I have received huge, huge benefits from keeping my protein high. And it is a huge priority to me to keep my average protein in my diet at a higher level. I would say at least 100 grams per day. So something like the fat fast that is so drastically low in protein is something that I will use extremely carefully. And I will be very diligent not to overdo it and overuse it. I'm pretty good at listening to my body at this point, and hearing when it's telling me that I don't have enough protein. I definitely felt that at the end of my egg fast. I talked to you guys about that, just feeling the weakness, and I start getting like cravings for steak. And that's when I really know that I'm pushing it a little bit too far. But even though I prioritize protein and I'm going to keep my average protein in my diet at that higher level, I do think something like the fat fast, the sardine fast, the egg fast, all of these different things, 80-20 keto, I think all of these things can still be valuable tools in order to bump up the ketones. Because there is a lot of really good research showing that higher levels of ketones in your blood have all kinds of great benefits. I have definitely felt an enhancement in my brain function as I have tried these ketone experiments. And that is something that is really, really valuable for me. If I can get my brain to function a little bit better, like that is huge. And I want to capitalize on that. But just because I do get those benefits in brain function from the higher ketones, I don't want to ignore the possible negatives of going too low protein for too long. So I'm really, in all of these experiments and things that I'm doing, I'm really looking for ways that I can use all of those tools, the higher protein and the higher ketones, in order to feel my best and keep my body in the best shape possible. I want to retain muscle as I age. I think having a good amount of protein in your diet is really helpful for that. Also, having higher ketones can be really helpful for that as well. And then the added benefit of the brain function with the higher ketones, I just want to figure out how to get all of those puzzle pieces together so that I can benefit from all of them and not have any of the drawbacks of going too far with any one of those pieces. All right, enough about that. So the basic rules of the fat fast: 1,000 calories a day, 75 to 90% of those calories from fat, spread out throughout the day, ideally like 5 200-calorie meals, and don't push it too far. It's something that's very powerful, but it can do damage if you go too far with it. So this morning, I have already had 2 of my 5 meals. My first meal was my coffee. What I did was I took my regular 12 grams of MCT oil powder that I've been putting in my coffee for quite a while now, and put that in. And then I also added a tablespoon of butter in my coffee and, whipped all that up with my frother. It was delicious. It was very, very good. And so I enjoyed that. And then about 3 or 4 hours later, I was feeling like I needed something else, but I didn't feel like making any food. So I just had another coffee. I had a second cup of coffee with the MCT oil powder and with the tablespoon of butter. And that so far is all I've had to eat, even though they were both drinks. I find that drinks work really well on a fat fast because, you can kind of nurse them over time. And so it feels like you're having something for a longer amount of time instead of like 2 bites of, something really fatty. So I've enjoyed those 2 coffees. I did also make my electrolytes. I am still having my Element electrolytes. They do have a little bit of carbs in them, but I am counting that into my, my macros. And so it will be calculated in my percentages. I will still be able to get, 75 to 90% of my calories from fat, even including the Element. So I have that I have been sipping on. I'm coming up to time for my next meal, and I'm thinking what I'm going to do is boil some eggs, and then I'll have 1 egg with some butter mayo. I still have my butter mayo in the fridge from the egg fast, and I was thinking that would be a good like high fat meal. So it's like going to be super small, 1 egg with the butter mayo, but you're getting, every 3 to 4 hours you're getting to eat. So we'll see how it goes. I actually do have experience doing fat fasts. I did quite a few fat fasts back in the day, but that was a lot before I realized the importance of protein in my diet. So I really pushed it too far. And on the days that I wasn't on the fat fast, my protein was still way too low. And so it wasn't sustainable at that point. The weight, I lost a ton of weight. I did like an alternate day fat fast and then a lower calorie day that was lower fat. So it was almost like PSMF and then fat fast back and forth. Oh man, I lost so much weight. I got down to the lowest weight I think I've ever been in my adult life. But of course, when you sustain that low calorie for that long, it did not stay off. Like the moment I ate something else, it came piling back on. So I definitely don't recommend that. I'm going to try to use a little bit more moderate of an approach now. Keeping those calories, a lot higher on the days off, I think is super important. It helps your body not get used to the low calorie and not, go into starvation mode or like conservation mode where it just wants to hang on to every calorie and just pile the weight back on. Definitely been in that place before, and it is no fun to step on the scale and see it like jumping up multiple pounds every single day. It's awful. So anyways, the rest of this video is just going to be bringing you along on the rest of my day 1 of the fat fast. I'm coming up on needing another meal, so I'm going to be heading into the kitchen in just a little bit. Instant pot full of eggs, and we'll do pressure cook. We'll do high pressure for 6 minutes. All right, I'm going to slice my boiled egg and then drizzle with the butter mayo. I calculated 20 grams of the butter mayo to 1 egg to get a good fat percentage and to get around that 200 calories. Gonna also sprinkle with a little bit of Trader Joe's onion salt. It's a tiny, tiny meal, but I am going to enjoy it. It is about 4:45 now, and I am definitely ready for my meal number 4. I made this keto chow creamy mix earlier. I decided to try to make a super high fat, this is the birthday cake, keto chow, and I used an entire stick of butter in it. Of course, that's tons of calories in this container, so the amount that I'm actually going to eat for my meal serving is about a quarter of this. But I am going to get it whizzed up in the creamy. I did want to mention that the birthday cake keto chow is one of their new low total carb count versions of Keto Chow. It used to be that most of them were about 8 total carbs per meal or per packet. And most of that is acacia fiber and things like that. So it's pretty low net carbs if you count net carbs, but they have reformulated, and so some of the new flavors are even lower total carbs, 3 total carbs, I believe, in the birthday cake and a lot of the other newer flavors. So if you do one of the older flavors that's still at the 8 total carbs, the macros are going to be a little bit different. So I recommend trying to find one of the newer ones that has the 3 total carb count on there, and then you'll get, the super high fat percentage. You can always just add, an extra tablespoon of butter or something, and that'll up the fat percentage. But I love the new lower total carb count options, and that's just what I decided to use. I'm gonna get this put into my creamy, and I know it's going to be tasty. The birthday cake flavor with an entire stick of butter in it, how could it be bad? The only thing I'm worried about this is it's going to be so delicious that I'm going to be disappointed to only be able to have a half a cup. One of the benefits of the sardine fast was you really didn't care about eating, but when you're eating whole stick of butter birthday cake Keto Chow ice cream, I imagine I will want more. But we'll see how it goes. I did want to mention that I added allulose to this. When I make Keto Chow ice cream, I do add allulose because the sweetness kind of gets muted when you freeze the Keto Chow. And so a little bit of allulose, I think, brings out the flavor. I personally do not count allulose carbs at all. According to the science, they don't get absorbed by the body, and so I choose not to count them. I understand some people count them in order to not overdo like sweet treats, and so if that's a strategy that works for you, I'm all for that. I don't tend to, have that problem, so I just choose not to count them in my total carbs, and I'm not counting them in my macros for my fat fast. So if you feel differently about it, then definitely, choose something different. But just wanted to be transparent that I did add the allulose and I am not counting it. There's my little meal, and I imagine if this is good, I will probably have the exact same thing for my very last meal of the day. So today we're actually having cold, rainy weather. Definitely not the weather for ice cream, but I am still going to thoroughly enjoy this. I'm just gonna have to get wrap up in a blanket or something afterwards because I am feeling cold. I am feeling more like I'm fasting than I did on either the sardine fast or the egg fast, like not feeling nourished. I'm not dying of starvation, thankfully. Not having huge cravings, just feeling kind of like that I'm fasting feeling, like in my muscles, that they're feeling depleted and just kind of lethargic. I also have noticed that my ketones have not really risen yet. So that could be another reason why I'm feeling so because I'm not getting that ketone bump yet. I haven't really fully gotten back into fat burning mode after my 3 days off of the challenges. So I'm hoping that those ketones will kick in here pretty soon. I am also very thankful that I am not doing this for more than 1 day. I don't think that would have been a good choice for me. So anyways, I'm gonna enjoy my ice cream, and I kind of got off schedule, so this meal is a little late. I'll probably have the next meal in 2 hours, by 7, because I don't really want to eat right before bed. So there you go, and I'll show you that meal when I get there. So this ice cream is very tasty. It's very good, but with all of that butter, it coats the inside of your mouth. So I think it would probably be better made with heavy cream. I usually make my Keto Chow ice cream with heavy cream. But yeah, I'm definitely still enjoying it. I'm not complaining, but there is definitely a butter mouthfeel when you eat it. Just letting the dogs out to go potty real quick and figured I would give you an update. So, fat fast fail. I got to about 4 p.m. yesterday, so this is the next day now. I got to about 4 p.m. and was feeling pretty weak. My ketones were not going up. They were just staying in the exact same range, even dipping down to 0.3. And so there's this idea that ketones are muscle protective. And so if you're in ketosis, you don't have to worry quite so much about losing muscle with these lower protein strategies because the ketones protect you. But I seem to not like bump into that ketosis state very easily. So by 4 p.m., I'm like, I'm not eating protein and I don't have the ketones. Like that puts me in the worst possible state. And I don't know how long I'm going to have to endure that in order to get, those ketones to go up. So I was not feeling good. I wasn't having huge cravings. It was more in my body, just feeling weak and undernourished. And I decided if this is not something that I would consider doing again, like if it's not going to be a good strategy for me to use in the future, then why am I wasting my time and torturing myself testing it? So I was like, that's it. I'm not going to do this again. It was interesting to see how I felt up to that point, but I'm throwing in the towel. So I ended up making myself a ribeye steak. I had that with some quickly thrown together blue cheese dressing made with butter, mayo, and sour cream. That was fantastic. I had, a little bit of fresh mozzarella cheese, and then I had a perfect keto peanut butter chocolate chip bar. I felt so much better after that, as you can imagine. And now I am just thinking through what do I do with the last 3 days of this CKM. I have some ideas I'm tossing around, and you will be seeing what I decide on tomorrow's video. And I did consider just scrapping this Fat Fast video and not even posting it, but I decided I wanted to post it because sometimes you can get the impression from influencers who do these kinds of challenges that it's always easy and they do the challenge and it's like, oh yeah, no problem. I never struggle with hunger or cravings or wanting to throw in the towel. And I just wanted to put this out there to show that there are times where it just doesn't work out, where, how I feel just takes over and I don't finish the challenge. And I think for me, at this point in my journey, I am more interested in listening to my body and following that than following any kind of prescribed challenge rules that I have committed myself to. It's like how my body feels always supersedes that. And so I decided to go ahead and put out this video. So hopefully that's encouraging to some people who feel like, us influencers have it all figured out. I don't know how people could get that impression from me. It's definitely not the case. And hopefully I am honest enough about all of that so that you guys don't have that impression. So anyways, that is it for this video. I will be back again probably tomorrow with whatever I decide to do with these last 3 days, and I will just see you there.